Hey there guys, what is happening? My name is Sumed Chatterjee from the Flozone Academy, which means I am a flow coach and I help you feel better and perform better. So I was asked a question about what's the last phase of the flow cycle, and I really wanted to devote my time to making a video about the recovery or the rest phase because I think it's actually one of the most important phases. This is based on the research of Harvard cardiologist Herbert Benson, and I would highly recommend his work if you want to look further into this. But collectively, there are four stages of the flow cycle. There's struggle phase, release phase, flow phase, and recovery. So the way I think of it is almost like yang, yin, yin yang, yin. Okay, so yang is a very hustling, going into energy, and masculine energy, and a yin is a kind of receptive energy and a surrendering energy, right? So if you think of them kind of like discipline, surrender, surrender and discipline together, and then surrender again. So when we have this high, there's a low that comes afterwards. This is time to rejuvenate. This is really time to give yourself that energy storage back. Right after an orgasm, right, you have a relapse of like this depletion of energy.
I'll be right there. 3 moments later.
Or like right after a night of heavy drinking, you have a hangover the next day. It's almost like this kind of energy depletion period where you're facing this kind of low, and you know that your brain isn't on your side. It's very cranky. It's very maladjusted.
I don't need that. I don't need that.
This time you really want to give yourself lots of self-compassion and positive self-talk. You almost want to talk to yourself like a kindergarten teacher, like,
There. It's gonna be okay, buddy. You're gonna get through this.
that kind of voice of reassurance always helps me out. Watch some shows that relax you. For me, it's The Simpsons. I've always watched it since I was a kid, and it used to relax me whenever I'm in a low mood, man. There's like 31 seasons of this thing, so I can pick any episode, just enjoy the bright colors and childish imagery, and just completely surrender to it.
This is a sensory deprivation tank. It blocks out all the external distractions that bombard our souls.
Can you pee in it?
I'll take 2 hours.
Also, pamper yourself. For women, I would say, like, get into that, like, self-care of, like, mud masks and all sorts of things like that. For guys, just get into your supplementation and just, like, start getting into that. I'm not saying guys can't wear mud masks, but I'm just saying, like, whatever you are called towards, whatever you resonate with.
Look at this graph!
You know yourself, your mind and body better than anybody, so you want to do the things that really charge your energy up during this time. Personally, I like things that give me a boost of energy, so things like caffeine, ashwagandha, zinc, ginger, turmeric, garlic, these kinds of things which give you that oomph and that energy. Other self-care activities could be like taking a really warm shower, a jacuzzi, wearing lighter fitting clothing.
How am I supposed to hallucinate with all these swirling colors distracting me?
Getting in sunlight, massages, massage chairs, right? Massage balls like this, or this is an EMS device, okay? Essentially, you just kind of, it's quite funny. Look at how my finger is just moving based on the shock. Understand that fatigue, headaches, and irritability are all hangover symptoms that can be exacerbated by lack of sleep. So if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting at least 5 hours of sleep, like, you're going to suffer for it. And so what I would generally say is at least take power naps throughout this time. If you can't get that sleep, if you stay up late, at least get those power naps in, because that will really help you to think of this similar to like charging up your Kamehameha, right? So you're going to get back into the struggle phase again and working hard. So you want to really be able to take important vitamins and minerals during this time. And flow takes a big toll on the central nervous system in the body, so it requires a ton of resources, and it taps into reserves that we've been building up for a long time in preparation for flow. So needless to say, it takes a while for your body to recover and replenish. So give your body the time that it deserves. Don't rush this process, okay? You don't want to quickly get back into the struggle phase and have a really quick rest or recovery. This is a healing period for you. And so, without proper recovery, it could likely lead to even worse injuries or burnout or exhaustion. If your body hasn't properly recovered from your last flow hangover, it's going to jump back into struggle prematurely, and that's kind of a recipe for disaster, guys. Recovery is probably the single most important part of the process, I believe, just like sleep is an important factor of your health. It's easy to overlook, but it's one of the real foundational pieces to this peak performance game. It's like we think of peak performance as just the fire without the water. We need both, okay? We need the water as well. We need the surrender and the letting go and the time to rejuvenate and replenish and recover. It's in the word itself, recovery. It's like we need to recover. All of these elements of the flow cycle, they all work together in synergy, all these phases.
But it's so hard to turn off my brain. I have to stop thinking. Starting now. Hey, it worked! Oh no, that's thinking.
Let's take the example of, like, let's say you go to a concert and you come back from that concert. Let's say it was an amazing concert, right? It's like you were there with all your friends. You have this memory now. You have this embodiment of that memory stored in your system, in your neurology, and your physiology. And now what you want to do is you want to get together with your friends and be
Like, you remember that time when we went to that concert?
you want to integrate, you want to consolidate, you want to reflect, okay? This is a time for reflection. So if you can reflect and be like, this is what I learned from this. This is what happened. I remember one time I was pushed to really running fast. I really disliked the feeling. It was like I was completely in the flow state, but I really, really disliked it. And afterwards, I just felt so winded, so out of power. Then I reflected back on what gave me that power while I was running. And I remember I took the learning lessons of what I needed to do during that time. So I noticed that if I was making my body into a machine, if I imagined I was like a train, like chugga, 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 if I made it much more rhythmical, made it much more musical for myself and find a rhythm, it would give me a lot more momentum during that time, and it would help me out actually in the process than thinking like, oh, I'm this frail human that has to move my bones around in this intricate system of my body. I just changed my mindset and the images that were created in my mindset, and I immediately went into this imagery of me being like a train as I'm running. And it's funny because we use that word train for training and working out, right? So that's one personal example I can give you of like me actually learning lessons during the recovery or rest phase. It's like reflecting back and thinking back to the time where you were in flow. It's great to sort of allow yourself to reflect and give yourself that rest period so that you can get back into that energy spike again. So I hope this video helped you out, guys, and have an amazing day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary.